Welcome and good morning. My name is Mark Roper. I'm a public information officer for Montgomery County, and today County Executive Mark Alrich will sign Bill 3823, the Tenant Displacement-Right of First Refusal to Buy Rental Housing Amendments. The right of first refusal has been a useful, affordable housing tool for the county for decades, but today that tool becomes stronger and easier to use. County Executive Mark Alrich.
Thank you, and I had a lovely experience getting here this morning. It's amazing what double parked cars can do on a roadway. Anyway, I'm really happy to be here, and I'm very excited about this. And I want to start by thanking the entire council for their support for this. This was really important. We've had right of first refusal for a long time, and I experienced the first in Tacoma Park, where we kind of wrote a model law. I will say the city's law was always better than the county's law, and it was good, but it had limitations on it, and it kept us from being able to acquire some property, and it kept us from being able to work with partners we wanted to work with, and it required the county to hold a lot more money for settlements, which is a real impediment, because if you think of it, you got to have a large pool of money that's just sitting there, because you can't suddenly pull millions of dollars out of the air. So this kind of changes the process, and I'm really excited about the ability to improve the right of first refusal law, because it's critical if we're going to preserve affordable housing in the county. So this law is going to help us allow our nonprofit partners to buy apartments and condos. And we've had more experience with this. We've been working with people and being able to move some projects along. We've got nonprofit partners who want to do more, and we want to make sure we can facilitate that. The most important part of all this is it helps renters stay in their homes. If we had not, for example, purchased Westchester West last year, tenants would have been facing a rent increase that would have kept them from being able to stay in their apartment for many of those families. And our ability to act quickly, buy the property, and then work with the nonprofit partner to transfer the property was absolutely critical. But it was a hard lift because it took a lot of money to make those deals work. And this will make this a lot easier. So it's a significant improvement over our 40-year law, and it's going to give us the ability to assign to a partner out of a pool of partners this right. So we know in the beginning who we're transferring it to. They know that if they partner with us, we can execute the transfer and get it in their hands, and it gives them time to line up financing. I mean, it's not easy within the time limits of a right of first refusal sometime for a nonprofit to do all the due diligence they've got to do and then find somebody who will finance their projects. And this gives them more time because we can act and hold these buildings, bring these buildings in if we need to, and then make the transfer. The other thing it does, I think is important, is it caps the good faith deposit at 5%, which is consistent with the industry norms. But people have been pushing and wanting to push those limits higher when we make these deals. And without a cap of 5%, they could put a burden on the county that would just make it impossible for us to do this. And I appreciate, particularly on this point, the council's willingness to support this, because had we not had this cap, it would really impact the ability of us to actually execute the right of first refusal. And so I'm excited. I think this is a big deal that we're actually able to do this. And I'm really grateful for all our nonprofit partners who helped us put this together, the work of Scott Bruton and his team to put this into a form that everybody could work with. And I think you will see more and more activity. This county has actually produced and preserved a fair amount of affordable housing over the last 4 years. If you look at the housing targets, at the rate we're building, we would pretty much make the housing targets for 2030. So, and that doesn't include the stuff for preserving. So I think we're in pretty good shape. The market seems a little bit healthier in some ways than some people assume, but it's good news for us, because when we're building, over 3,000 units a year on average, that's getting us close to where we need to be by 2030. So I'm excited to be here, and thank you all. And I think I'm turning this over now to Council President Andrew Friedson.
Thank you to the county executive. I'm pleased to be here, really excited to be moving this effort forward and to have led the effort on the Planning, Housing, and Parks Committee and as council president. I really want to thank Scott Bruton when he first took over in his role as director of the department, we talked about the challenges in our affordable housing pipeline and the ability of the department and of the county to be able to make the types of investments that we know that we need. And one of the things that I have been talking about for 4 years is the amount of money that we have been putting aside for no long-term use and benefit, just to hold the ability to do a right of first refusal. What this bill does primarily was something that I had advocated for, and Director Bruton came on board with and initiated this bill with, is to ensure that we can assign the rights of first refusal so that the county doesn't have to hold that money. Why does that matter? Earlier this week, we finally are moving forward with a nonprofit preservation fund, $20 million that we are going to put to use in a revolving loan fund that has always been the goal to get to $50 million, which we will by the beginning of the fiscal year in conjunction with the county executive. That money came from a ROFR. That was the Westchester deal that you heard about from the county executive, where we had to put forward $70 million in excess of that just to have the right to allow for the permanent financing for a nonprofit partner. We don't have to do it that way. This bill will help us to do it better and smarter, and it will allow us through this nonprofit preservation fund, working together with Housing Opportunities Commission and all of our nonprofit partners, to be able to preserve up to a half of the at-risk naturally occurring affordable housing in Montgomery County. It will be the most significant preservation effort, along with the other efforts that we are doing, of any local jurisdiction in the region, probably any local jurisdiction in the country. And I think we should be proud of that. It's on the heels of the $100 million Housing Production Fund, because we know that we can't just preserve our way out of this housing crisis. We have to produce new housing. We have to produce housing at every income level, particularly those who need workforce housing and who need deeply affordable housing. And so these efforts combined show that we need every tool at our disposal. This right of first refusal bill is one of those important tools. It will not in and of itself solve the problem, but it will make a significant dent. And it demonstrates, when you look at the other efforts we're doing, including the Faith ZTA, leveraging our mission-based organizations in their land, leveraging county-owned land like we did previously at the beginning of this council, when you look at the acceleration that we've done for the regulatory review process for affordable housing projects, we want to make sure that we are putting every tool at our disposal forward so that we can solve this challenge, because housing is infrastructure. And we have not talked about it in that way. So I'm really pleased to be here. I'm going to call up the Vice President next. I also am pleased to be here with Councilmember Jawando, who you will hear from in a moment, who we work very closely together, along with Natalie Fanning-Gonzalez on our Planning, Housing, and Parks Committee, and together we're also working on the housing targets to localize those, as you heard about from the county executive, those regional housing targets that we've committed to, the 31,000 before 2030, and also wanted to acknowledge Sydney Katz. We're very pleased. We have Monique Ashton here. We're very pleased as the council member who represents the two largest municipalities that we worked very hard to include municipalities in this effort, and Councilmember Kristen Mink as well, who has been a longstanding supporter of this effort. So with that, let me turn it over to my friend and colleague, Vice President Stewart.
Thank you, everyone. I'm glad to be here this morning, and as the county executive said, this is a great morning when we can come together, the county executive and the council, to move forward to address our affordable housing crisis. And I also want to thank Director Bruton for all his work and leadership since he has come to the county. We're going to say, probably everyone who gets up here, that this is an important tool in the toolbox for us to address our affordable housing crisis. And what I want to talk about is, I want to emphasize how important this is for us here in Montgomery County and how out front we are on these efforts. As many people know, I serve on the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments Board. That is a regional board of 24 jurisdictions in the Metro DC area. And we talk about affordable housing a great deal. As Council President Friedson mentioned and the county executive, COG has set regional targets on affordable housing, and when we get together, we're always talking with our colleagues in Virginia and other places about how we can move the ball on that. And my colleagues in Virginia, every time we talk about right of first refusal, they're like, we can't do that. You all can do that in Montgomery County, and you are doing it, and today we're making it even better. And I think that's a really important piece to emphasize on the work that we are doing here in Montgomery County and in the region. The other piece of this is we talk many times about how this is going to help us preserve affordable housing and also help people who are renters stay where they are living and move to renting to home ownership opportunities. And that's all true and wonderful, and I've experienced it firsthand as a mayor. But it's also important to realize that helping people stay in their homes, preserving the affordable housing, impacts our entire community. Because these are families who live in these apartments. And if they're faced with having to move, that means children being taken out of our schools and having to go somewhere else. That usually means increased commute times on families. It means people leaving our community, who are our soccer coaches and heads of our neighborhood associations. And by creating an opportunity in more ways that people can stay in our community, stay in affordable housing, and move from renting to home ownership, we are benefiting our entire community and creating affordable, stable communities. And so I just want to say thank you again to everyone who worked on this. I also want to thank the members of the Planning, Housing, and Parks Committee for accepting the amendment I had put forward in order to make this easier for some of our municipalities that had been looking at expanding this but had faced some barriers given the designation of the housing they were looking at to acquire. So again, I just want to say thank you, and with that, I'm going to bring up my colleague, Councilmember Giwando.
Thank you, Council Vice President Stewart, Council President Friedson, County Executive, to my colleagues, Councilmembers Katz and Mink and Fanny Gonzalez, who we worked with, and all of our colleagues, because this was a unanimous vote. This is a big day. As we mentioned, nearly 40% of our community rents. I was one of those kids who rented for the first 20 plus years of my life, moving around the county in search of affordable housing. Went to 5 schools before 8th grade. You just heard the impact on school mobility. I chair the education committee. That's a huge deal. Anything that provides stability for folks in their homes is a huge, huge deal. To quote our current president and hopefully future president, it's a BFD, what we're doing here today. The fact that we have the ability to pass this on and not hold all this money is going to allow us to potentially go after bigger projects and more projects. I want to thank Scott Bruton, who's been great at DHCA and his team. I want to thank Ken Silverman, who will come up shortly at HOC, and the whole HOC team and all our nonprofit providers who are going to be able to utilize this. I think, I've always talked about going on the 6th year on the council. We need to preserve, produce, and protect renters. All of those things have to happen. We've been really happy to partner with my colleague on the PHP and formerly Fed committee to put forward a lot of initiatives to do that. If you look at on the production side, we have now the nonprofit fund coming through. We have the $100 million revolving loan that we've done with HOC. We have rent stabilization, which we passed, and the regulations I just heard are coming really soon. That's going to help preserve people in there and protect renters and keep them in their homes. We have several renter protection bills that we've passed. We have taken so many steps on all 3 of those prongs to keep people in their homes, because that's what's important. It provides stability for the community. It expands what we need to do as far as education and workforce development, and it's the right thing for our residents. So I was really happy to work on this. I thank the county executive for signing it here in a minute and pushing it. And with that, I'll bring up one of our partners who's going to be able to benefit from this bill, and they can talk about how. Housing Opportunities Commission Vice President of Government Affairs, Ken Silverman. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Jawando. Ken Silverman. I'm here representing the Housing Opportunities Commission, as well as the Montgomery Housing Alliance, which is a coalition of all of the affordable housing providers in the county. Really want to just say thank you to County Executive Elrich, to Council President Friedson, to Council Members Jawando and Fanny Gonzalez on the PHP committee, and to all the council members for moving this bill forward. This is another in a long line of initiatives that this county has really pushed on to improve affordable housing across the county. We're just so excited about the positive relationship and the momentum that we have with the county executive, the council, DHCA, HOC, and the nonprofit developers all rowing together toward this goal. We are particularly glad and appreciate DHCA Director Scott Bruton and Council President Friedson and the PHP committee for working with us to include some language which will streamline the ROFR process for developments that are funded by the low-income housing tax credit. Affordable housing development and managing affordable housing is, by definition, a money-losing proposition. And so anything that can save us a little bit of time and money is really important. By including that language, we'll be able to spread those scarce resources even a little bit further. Next, I'm so glad to bring up one of our great nonprofit partners and MHA colleague, Melissa Bondi, who's representing Enterprise Community Development and is a housing policy powerhouse for the Mid-Atlantic.
I'm going to try to live up to that introduction, but I only have a few seconds to speak. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you. I am Melissa Bondi. I'm a policy director at Enterprise. We would also like to congratulate County Executive Elrich and the administration, Director Bruton, and of course, the unanimous, all members of council for adopting these important provisions to improve right of first refusal opportunities. Enterprise is proud to be a partner to the county on many programs, including ROFR, that prevent resident displacement, that ensure greater housing affordability, and increase people's quality of life. As some may know, Enterprise Community Development is a nonprofit owner and developer of affordable residences across the Mid-Atlantic. We support more than 23,000 people who call our communities home. The Westchester West project in Aspen Hill represents Enterprise's largest workforce housing acquisition to date. It is a tremendous opportunity for the long-term preservation of affordable housing stock in Montgomery County. Alongside tenants on site, local organizing nonprofits, the county executive, and council members, this community of 345 households was preserved through right of first refusal last summer. We're proud to have been selected as the lead partner in this important acquisition and capital investments deal. The county had to exercise its right to purchase Westchester West for about $70 million, as Council President Friedson said. After purchase, DHCA then immediately sold the property to Enterprise in a second transaction. We worked together to make that go as smoothly as possible so that we could begin the capital investments to help support tenant protections, resident quality of life improvement, and to make those units committed affordable for the long haul, including units below 50% of the median income to match resident actual incomes. As successful as Westchester West is as a story, if today's changes to the right of first refusal program had been in place last summer, Westchester West would have benefited even more. The necessary steps could have proceeded more efficiently, more quickly, with less upfront capital from the county. And that's critically important when such scarce financial resources and tenant well-being are on the line. The new ROFR provisions would have reduced the amount of executions. We would have had one closing instead of two. If you work in our industry, that's a really big deal. We also would have had a simpler transaction overall, which would have saved us the additional legal counsel and all of the other professional capacities that are needed to make sure that these are done with excellent due diligence and protecting the rights for all. So reducing complexity, ensuring smooth steps in affordable housing development, these are always valuable in any transaction. but even more so in future cases where third parties can be assigned the right and can seek their own private sector capital in order to get investors so that more of these deals can take place, which leverages public financing even further. We believe that starting today, the Improved Right of First Refusal program will help more Montgomery County residents and more practitioners to achieve excellent results for affordable housing preservation and tenant protections for years to come. We are thrilled to be your partners in this, and congratulations again. Thank you for your leadership.
And we have one more speaker. We have the Mayor of Rockville, Monique Ashton.
Good morning, everyone. I was at the Maryland Mayors Alliance meeting, and I felt like I had to leave Annapolis to be here for this very, very special moment. My name is Monique Ashton, Mayor of Rockville. I also serve as the president of the Montgomery chapter of the Maryland Municipal League. We have several municipalities who have the ability to now support additional affordable housing. And I want to thank the county executive. I want to thank the county council. You have helped, particularly the city of Rockville, I can say personally, Tacoma Park, Gaithersburg, and Rockville are now listed, and now that allows us the opportunity to be a qualified entity. What does this really mean? So the city helped and worked with Rockville Housing Enterprise to secure Parkside Landing, which was Fireside Apartments, as well as Scarborough. Scarborough happened very recently, and it really allowed the ability for the city of Rockville and REG to come together with the county's help to preserve affordable units. These had 3 and 4 bedrooms. You don't see that being built for families, nor do you see that being affordable these days. And the ability to do the ROFR was incredible. And we have a test case where we saw other properties where the rents went up higher, and now these are affordable units. These are children who get to stay in their schools. These are families who get to have stability and understanding that there's an entity that is focused on affordable housing. And it means a lot. For the REG, it was a 31% increase in our housing stock. That's a pretty big deal. And this particular change also makes it easier, because before, we had to wait for the county to get it, and then there was a set period of time where the city would then get it. Those days really matter so that the cities can make informed decisions and work with our partners like REG to decide whether we can make a deal happen. Deals of this magnitude take a lot of time to vet, and sometimes we would lose opportunities. And so this is going to really give us a fresh opportunity to find other ways to secure affordable units in the city. And I would also note that, similar to what my colleague said, it'll give us a chance to work with other partners. Previously, the county had to buy it, then sell it back. It was a very complicated process. And I just wanted to say thank you for your partnership, for the constant work with the city of Rockville, as well as Gaithersburg and Tacoma Park. You are true partners to us. And I think Montgomery County has been written in textbooks about what we've done. One example is the Color of Law with its moderately priced dwelling unit program. It's been a model for the country, and it's an exciting time to see that this county continues to be a model for the country. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for working with us as municipalities to support our residents and support affordable housing. Thank you.
Thank you. And now if everyone would join County Executive Mark Alrich over here for the signing of Bill 3823.